How do I get confident with my art? How do I accept that my style is fine as it is, accept that my art and my artistic expression are enough? Why do some artists hate their art? And how to start loving it? That's what we're talking about today. Hi, my name is Veronica, aka Vespertiliu. I am an Italian comic book author, tarot and oracle deck creator, and your spooky art teacher.
It's me again, yours truly.
Today we're going to answer to the following questions. First, we're going to answer to the question, why do some artists hate their art? Then we're moving to how to get to love and enjoy your art despite its being imperfect. How can we fight perfectionism? How can we navigate criticism from others without letting it impact our self-worth? How can we balance consistent artistic practice with accepting our current level of skills? And then we're closing with some exercises to start loving your art again right away. This video is divided in chapters. You'll find the complete timeline with each chapter in the description below and first pinned comment. We need to start with the distinction here. So when we make a mistake, or when we don't like something we did in particular in an art piece, and therefore are not satisfied with a work of ours, that is perfectly normal and fine. It is also something that pushes us to improve and make more. While hating your art means you get stuck. You are constantly disappointed with your work to the point you barely complete any. You rarely move from the first draft to the final piece. You keep practicing and studying without ever putting that study into actual practice by completing art pieces. Therefore, although you might think you are collecting more and more information and knowledge for your future works, in reality, you're not creating any new artworks. And therefore, you are moving into the future without actually improving. And most importantly, without making any art at all. We are our art. We are our artistic expression. We talked before about how much self-care impacts our self-expression and therefore our artistic expression and production. Hating our art to the point we stop making art can be a signal that we are experiencing a lack of self-esteem, can recognize our worth, or even have stopped loving ourselves. In 2021, I stopped making art. And later, going through therapy, I found out that I was going through a depressive episode. I had stopped liking my art, and I had stopped making art because I had stopped understanding myself. Now, there are different kinds and levels of mental health issue. Some things can be fought with a little boost of self-kindness and self-discipline. Others need professional help. With that said, back to the point. The main reason why artists hate their art is it's being imperfect, not up to expectations. It's the conviction that our art is never good enough, but good enough for who? If your problem comes from people constantly criticizing and putting down your work, we are going to talk about this later on. But let's face it, most of the time our art isn't good enough for us only. Many times we feel dissatisfied with our work, even though others seem to enjoy it. Why does this happen? It is often linked to trauma or past negative events. A person you admired heavily criticized your work and now you think others' opinions are not valuable. Someone who complimented your work turned out to be a horrible person who said nice things to you just to get what they wanted, and now you don't trust any positive recognition. Those are just a couple of reasons why we might think we are being impartial, just and professional by putting down our own work, but the truth is, we are just behaving as affected by our past trauma. So, how can we learn to appreciate our artistic expression and discover our unique vision? How do we get to love and enjoy our art despite it being imperfect? There are a few things you can start doing right away. Number 1, stop comparing your art to others until comparison will stop holding you back and start pushing you forward. Comparison is a good thing when we turn it into inspiration and motivation. Comparing yourself to someone you admire can help you find the compass pointing towards your next goal. But as soon as you notice comparison has turned to jealousy, nope, out of the room. Number 2, start developing an actual, honest, and impartial self-critical eye. That means getting used to acknowledging the good in our work and celebrating our success and improvement first, and then focusing on what we can improve and correct. We'll constantly find flaws in our artwork. Even our most perfect art piece within a month is going to look wrong somewhere somehow. That's us noticing our improvement. How can we fight perfectionism? With practice. I don't mean drawing practice, I mean practicing detachment from imperfections and just keeping going and seeing what happens. Because most of the time, nothing bad will happen. Completing a bunch of imperfect artworks teaches us more than completing one good art piece. Share your imperfect works and every new art piece will be better than the previous one. And completing a work, despite its imperfections, will provide us with a guide that will help us understand how to deal with those mistakes in our next pieces. We'll see this very briefly. Now that we have put out our work and started sharing our imperfect art outside of our desks and drawers, well, people will see it and start sharing their opinions. How can we navigate criticism from others without letting it impact our self-worth? A critique is worth listening only if it meets those two criteria. Number one, it points out our mistakes specifically, and number two, it offers a cue, a new point of view, or a solution. Example: great job! Careful though, you drew 2 right feet. You probably got confused because the legs are twisted in this pose. Hey, just wanted to point out that shadow coming from that tree should be pointing to the opposite direction according to your light source. Hope this helps. Those are excellent critiques that help us correct our mistakes, learn new things, and improve our artistic production. Even if we might feel embarrassed at first, we need to start taking ourselves less seriously and understand that those mistakes are perfectly normal. I had personally made one of the mistakes in the examples just presented. Did I destroy that art piece and delete it from my Instagram? I did not. And that art piece was actually sold despite its imperfections being pointed out in the comment section. The next time, I just was more careful with it. If a critique tells you something's wrong but does not tell you what is wrong or where are the mistakes, does not offer any cue or solution, is excessively rude or mean in the tone, then that critique is useless, comes mostly from toxic behavior, and it's not worth acknowledging. Examples: as soon as I saw your art, I knew you know nothing about anatomy. Those hands look bad and weird. That perspective is wrong. I personally received all those comments regarding my art, and what I usually do is ask for clarification. Thanks for your comment. Can you elaborate, please? Feedback is always welcome here. Now, sometimes people will appreciate your interest and will put pride aside and leave some valuable information for you to collect and use in the future. Other times, they might feel attacked or questioned and will reply with things like, you are the artist, figure it out yourself. Or they would just ignore your reply. Either way, you'll end up with an actual useful critique, or you'll just accept those people were just being mean, and therefore what they said is pointless and useless and can be ignored. If someone simply tells you things like, it's ugly, I don't like it, it looks like blah blah blah, then it's not a critique, it's just their taste. A genuine negative critique is something heaven sent. It's like a third eye on our work, offering new ideas and solutions. Those are free new notions that put us back on our improvement path. We have uncovered what might be the reasons why we hate our art, and we've started releasing the idea of perfectionism and learned how to welcome criticism as a useful tool. Now, how do we proceed? To improve? We need to practice. But how can we balance consistent artistic practice with accepting our current level of skills? To remain consistent with your artistic production, it is fundamental to understand what you like and what inspires you. Is there something you can't resist the urge to draw? Something you're always glad to create? What is it? Why is it? If you still don't know what is that you like and inspires you, you can start by nurturing your inspiration. I have made a whole video about this subject. But if you do know the answer to those questions, then that is your solution. Nail the art of repetition. Redraw the same thing until you feel the push to experiment with it. Then start playing with it. For example, when I got back to drawing consistently, I found comfort in my original character, and no matter how pretty or ugly I drew her, it was always a joy to see her on paper. I started drawing her every day until I felt the urge to try something different. I asked myself, what else can I do with this character? Dress her differently, make comics about her, draw her with moon phases, draw her with plants, give her some friends, build around her the story in my tarot deck, create an oracle deck about her relationship with the moon, draw her in my books, make her the guide of our witchy journal. Use the same drawing style I developed with her for my new comic books. I kept drawing that one thing I loved and of which I could never get tired. I started playing with my character and that kept me consistent. I gave her a whole world, a boyfriend, a twin brother, best friends, a coven. And she became my brand. And yes, there were many times where people would ask me, why do you always draw the same character? And I would tell those people the truth, because she's my comfort character. And I genuinely love to draw her. She kind of makes me forget about mistakes and relieves me of the pressure for perfectionism. And she helps me finish my artworks, and therefore actively helps me improve my skills. Because every time I would do figure drawing and draw a female figure, I could then turn that figure into her. If that figure was a male, then I could turn that figure into her brother, or do the same thing for different figures with other characters from her world. If I draw a vase, I can make her hold it. If I draw a flower, I can make her so tiny that she can hide under it. The sky is the limit. Finding comfort in something does not mean you have to make that same kind of art and get bored. You can draw the same thing over and over again and draw all sorts of different things with it. It's not like staying trapped in the comfort of your home and never stepping outside. It's stepping outside, bringing with you your favorite book. In conclusion, to love your art is not a matter of ego. It does not mean becoming deaf to critiques and negative opinions, and it does not mean refusing to improve. It is a form of self-love. It's recognizing how far you have come and experiencing every new thing with enough curiosity to make you wonder what will be next without worrying about the future. I always remind myself that to be an artist is to be an eternal student. Enjoy the process. Now I will give you an exercise a day for a week to start with the right foot on your renewed artistic journey. Number 1, write down on paper every time someone made you doubt your art. A person you admired heavily criticized your work and now you think others' opinions are not valuable. Someone who complimented your work turned out to be a horrible person who just said nice things to get what they wanted, and now you don't trust any positive recognition. You got the pattern. Make a list of those things. Those are the ones that are blocking you from enjoying your artistic journey. We have to get the diagnosis right before we start the cure. Number 2, take a day free from social media and make art. You can check your social for 24 hours. Don't look for a comparison anywhere else. If you need references, take a picture of yourself or use what you have in your house. Today's artwork is just for you. You don't have to show it to anybody else. If you must, draw it in your secret diary. Number 3, get inspired by someone you admire. Pick an artist you genuinely admire. It should be someone you look up to, not someone you are jealous of. You should wish to build your career following their steps, not to desire their career. If you don't have such a role model, that's okay. Pick one you are jealous of and start shifting your perspective. Turn that jealousy into genuine admiration and build empathy towards that person. Get to know them and to admire them. Then create an artwork inspired by that person or their art. This could also be someone from the past. My current idols are Leonor Fini and Leonora Carrington. Number 4. Get back to exploring your past. This time, ask yourself, did I ever receive genuine constructive criticism? When? What did it say? What can I learn from it? What can I practice today to turn that critique into a useful notion? Do it. Number 5. Feed your inspiration. I have a whole guide on that. Basically, we are getting ready for day 6. Number 6. Ask yourself, what's your kind of comfort drawing? Find out and make one from start to finish. And day 7, as usual, is rest. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope it was helpful to you. I also hope you enjoyed the sketchbook tour I slipped in here. I thought it could make a nice background view for our chat. If you have any suggestions or requests for future videos, please feel free to leave them in a comment below. If you wish to support this channel, you can now join Creatures of the Night or explore my shop. My very first tarot deck, Vespertiliu, is now available for purchase at the link in bio. I will see you very soon with more art tips. In the meantime, let's make art. Bye.